I'm not going to quite finish the illustration in this video, but in my opinion I get close enough. So I'm continuing pretty much from the last video. I only lost a few seconds when the camera stopped recording due to I just didn't have enough space on my SD card because I was using kind of a small one with stuff already on it. So I'm going on with the eraser now, just kind of softening things up, building things up by pushing some of the charcoal around. I haven't gone in with any high tones yet. I'm still just playing with the dark values. Just adjusting a little bit of the charcoal sort of around the edge of his lip. You can see just the edge of his mouth right around his finger, and so I'm trying to get that to look the way it's supposed to, and it's proving a little difficult. You can't really see it in the source image below. Well, maybe you can, but if so, it's not very clear. You can probably see a little bit of the edge of his mouth, but not so much the edge of the bottom of his lip, just beneath his finger. So I've continued on from that. It's close enough for now. I'll probably play with it more later. Going to go back in and work on his torso some, moving some of the shadows around, moving some of the charcoal around. I'm drawing completely right now with the eraser. I'm just moving that charcoal around, relocating it by loading it up onto the eraser from darker areas and then reapplying it to areas without any charcoal. Modify the nose a little bit, softening some of the edges where there shouldn't be much charcoal. Trying to get it just right. It's still not quite to my liking, so I'm going back and forth between the eraser and the charcoal to try to get it to look the way I think it should. It's at sort of an interesting angle. It's not straight on, but it's not profile either. It's not even really like a 45-degree angle. I think it's more of like maybe like a 60-degree angle. I don't know, it makes it a little bit tricky. So here's the white Conte, and I'm going in and I'm adding the high tones. So I'm just trying to block them in right now. I'm using the side of the Conte just to get a little bit more surface area, apply it a little bit faster. I'm not trying to be super accurate right now. I'm just trying to use it to define the highlights, which will help define the form of the sculpture, as those high tones and dark tones will give it sort of an appearance of 3D, an appearance of depth. I'm just looking for areas that just need to be a little bit lighter to help it kind of pop. Most of it's probably on the hand and the torso, just a little bit on the face, but I might add some in other areas too, just to get it to be perceived the way that I want. We don't always draw things exactly as they are, because sometimes the way they appear in an image or in a photo isn't actually how we perceived them, the way that we experienced them. So it is okay for an artist to manipulate reality to make the perception the way that they perceived it, to give it the feel that they're going for, even if it may not be exactly the way it happened in reality. Of course, when that gets to photos, you can have some ethical issues there, depending on what you're showing and how it's perceived by others. But when it comes to illustration, it's normally okay, because I mean, obviously this is not a photograph. Just adding some light areas into the helm, and now onto the torso. Now, if you remember right, I can't really smudge the white Conte very well with my fingers. I can smudge the charcoal into it, and so that might help a little bit, but I can also use my eraser to soften it, because if you remember, the eraser was actually quite effective on the white Conte. Just adding some highlights and some of the details. A little bit on the nose, and some around the cheekbones and eye area, as well as going back into the helm again. I'm just cleaning off my eraser a little bit there, so that way, because I didn't want to smudge the dark charcoal into the white Conte. Just trying to kind of smooth it out so it's not too intense, and so it looks more natural, kind of blending it into the mid values and even some of the darker values. A little bit on the hand. There is a lot of highlight on the hand, which you can even see in the source image, but even still, I want to soften it a little bit. And just a little bit on the arm. The torso needs quite a bit of softening. It has a lot of highlights, but it needs quite a bit of softening too. I don't know if I'll worry about it that much because the torso is not really our focus, not really the important part. So I'm back at this hand face area. It's probably the most frustrating part of this image. Drawing a little bit around the arm. You can see a little bit of like his shoulder and upper arm behind his forearm. So I'm kind of trying to make that a little bit more clear that that edge is not actually his forearm, it's stuff behind it. And kind of the same on this part too. There's some stuff sort of behind the forearm here that I haven't really made very clear yet. A little bit of the shadowing on his abdomen, I'm redefining that. There's some lighter values in that. And I ran out of space, so that's it for now. And you can see the finished image online.